begin our meditation for this month, we do so as we always do by anchoring to the breath, simply being aware of the rise and fall of the chest and abdomen without the need to control or micromanage how the breath occurs. We simply feel the natural flow of the breath. There are some who say that prayer is when we talk to God, and meditation is when God talks to us. Meditation is more like looking out of a window that is dirty, unclear, obscured in some way. The film of age rests upon the glass. And so when we look through the window to see the truth of what is there, we are only seeing it in part. Meditation cleans the window. Meditation gives us greater clarity of what is true. There is no God that we need to speak to. There is no God that we need to hear from, because God is all there is. So when we are listening to our own heartbeat, we are listening to God. When we are members of the deaf community who listen with our eyes, the colors that we see, God sharing, speaking to itself through the colors of the leaves as they change in the fall. The feeling of the water at the beach crashing upon our feet as the waves come in and go out. God speaking to God. The cool breeze on a warm day, God caressing God. The beauty of a sunrise or sunset, God expressing to God. So this meditation is our opportunity to be in that space of clarity, understanding, realization that there is no separation between who and what we are and who and what God is. There is only what God is and how it is showing up in, through, and as each of us and all of us, always and in all ways. So if anything, we are invited to hear from God, to listen from God. It is the awareness that our imagination, our intuition and inspiration is God speaking to itself. The creative impulse to draw or paint or sing or dance, God speaking to itself. God urging itself as you, as me, to create, to share, to engage in this thing called life. Listen to the love within your own life. Listen to the joy within your own life. The way that you feel it, the way that you share and offer it is how you pray. and how you meditate. Because prayer and meditation simply are not the things we relegate to a specific time or place. Prayer is how we live. Meditation is how we live. Our amen is our life. And so as we prepare to go into that space deeper, to feel more powerfully aligned with that truth, we go there. We enter into we enter into a room that has no entrance. We step into a space that was there before we stepped in. We set foot into the center of a circle when the center of the circle is everywhere. And so as we go to this space, we say it's deeper, but it has no depth. We say we rise in consciousness, but it has no height. We say we evolve and expand, but it has no width, because that which it is all there is. So right where you are right now, the fullness of God is. And so for the next few moments, we simply breathe and contemplate a clearer realization of this truth, that enlightenment is not simply what happens, chop wood, carry water before, chop wood, carry water after. Enlightenment is chopping wood and carrying water. Enlightenment is how we live. Awakening is how we live. Being the divine incarnation of God is how we live. So continue to breathe and notice the thoughts. Continue to breathe and notice the questions. Continue to breathe and be aware of your body. Continue to breathe and be aware of your feelings and emotions. Continue to breathe and know that you are God. Breathe. Breathe. As our meditation time comes to an end, keep in mind that meditation is a way of life. So if you are driving, you're meditating. Cooking, you're meditating. If you bring your awareness to it as such. If you bring this awareness to whatever it is you are doing, laundry, then laundry can become a mindfulness and meditative spiritual practice. Cutting grass can be. Shopping can be. And the reason it can be, God is everywhere. God is everything. That means everything we do, everywhere we go, can be an entry point to that awareness. Wherever I am, God is. Whatever I am doing, God is. And when we bring this awareness to that, whatever it is, it has the potential of becoming a meditation, a spiritual practice, a prayer. And so continue to breathe. Our 11 o'clock Sunday message will begin momentarily. Namaste and blessings. Hello and welcome to the Center for Spiritually Integrated Arts, a Centers for Spiritual Living teaching center. I am Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson. I am the founder and the spiritual director. Now, as you are sitting there joining us, you may have questions, any number of questions, such as, who am I? How did I get here? Spiritually integrated arts means what exactly? What is a teaching center? Well, what is Centers for Spiritual Living? What is that? What does that even mean? Or New Thought, or religious science, or science of mind and spirit? You may have any number of questions about this specific community, about the parent organization, CSL, our philosophy, our teaching, our liberation theology. Any number of questions. Feel free to send an email. We look forward to connecting more and building our virtual community, our global community. And if you haven't connected yet on social media, feel free to do so. This is your invitation now. Also, did you know that all of our Sunday messages are archived on our YouTube channel? You can watch it anytime. Now, questions about anything, such as becoming a member. What does that mean? What does membership entail? And if you live somewhere far and already belong to a spiritual community, can you be a member of more than one? The simple answer is yes, you can. Just like you can shop at more than one grocery store, you can attend or be a member of more than one gym. We are building beloved community. So you can do both. You can be a member of both. You can be involved with both. That's what being in spiritual community means. So we welcome you. We invite you. We are so appreciative that you have found this community and that you have joined us today. We bless you. We love you. We welcome you. Live long and prosper. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of our Sunday message. Love you. Connect with you soon. Blessings. Namaste and greetings, and welcome to September. Pieces into peace. Rising from pieces into peace is today's specific talk title. Now, the theme for the month: when it feels like everything is falling to pieces, breaking up and falling apart, how can you find more peace? When we are confused and quote unquote asleep in the illusion of separation, there is no peace in our world. Spiritual wisdom and tools can help us awaken and rise to the truth that, as Dr. Ernest Holmes said, peace is always at the center of our own soul. Oneness, peace, and harmony prevail. Spiritual tools in our toolkit for life help us have a grand rising in our personal and our collective experiences of peace. In this month's topic, we will explore in more depth: what is peace? What does it look like? How do we create it? How do we embody it? How do we nurture it? How do we sow it? How do we harvest it? How do we cultivate this concept of inner peace, peace with others, peace in community, and peace on earth, and truly put the pieces together in order to rise up and be the peace that we desire to see in the world? As I said, today we are talking about rising from pieces into peace. So let's start with some questions. Have you ever felt like your life was out of control? Do you feel like it is now? Felt the pain of what we call a broken heart? What about the pain of grief or anger, confusion, etc.? And I mean the angst, the confusion, the trepidation, other than what you might be feeling as our election approaches. I mean, just throughout your life, have you ever felt? So today we are going to explore in greater depth what peace actually is and what it is not. We will also strive or seek to discover and apply various tools: mental, emotional, social, and spiritual tools that take us to that place within that is always filled with the God quality of peace. Whenever we need it, it's there. Truly transforming the broken pieces of our lives, inner and outer, bringing them to a state of peace, inner and outer. So as I just said, we're going to talk about what is peace. Now, we've got a lot of symbols that represent it. And if I were to ask you, suppose you're on a game show, what's that sign? And you were supposed to explain, why is this symbol or that bird or that hand shape representative of peace? Why those? What is it about those? Do you have an answer? Now, it really doesn't matter, ultimately, if you have an answer for that or not. Because the more pressing question is, do you have an answer for what peace is? See, each of these is a sign that points the way. But what is the way of peace? What is it? What does it mean? Well, according to Dr. Holmes, He defines peace in the glossary of the Science of Mind textbooks as follows: peace, a state of inner calm, an inner calm so complete that nothing can disturb it, the peace which comes only from the knowledge that it is all. Fathomless peace is meant by the peace of spirit, peace of the spirit. This is the peace to which Jesus referred when he said, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you." The infinite is always at peace because there is nothing to disturb it. A realization of our oneness with omnipresence brings peace, the peace which is accompanied by a consciousness of power. Now, I would say normally 100% yes, because I know exactly what he's referring to. And yet, based upon where we are today in the world and where you may be in your own life, I don't know if you're new to this teaching or this community or new to me. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a remix just so we can be a little clearer what we're talking about. Peace, a state of inner calm, an inner calm so complete that nothing can disturb it, and so profound that it exudes from the person. A realization of our oneness with and as an individualized expression of omnipresence brings this awareness and the presence of peace. And this peace is accompanied by a consciousness of power that is palpable in the world, in our experiences, in how we live, move, and have our being. In other words, if we're truly connected to and truly embodying peace, then it's embodied inside and demonstrated outside, as within, so without. Because simply to have the mental gymnastics of, yo, I'm at peace, and yet there's confusion going on and you're just ignoring it, but you're not contributing to bringing peace to. You said what now? So true peacefulness is an inner and outer resonance. And we come to that inner awareness through all of our practices, whatever they may be. Could be therapy, meditation, prayer, etc. But in that space, we recognize this oneness, wholeness, as the truth of our being. And when we connect with the truth of our being to that degree, then that feeling of, that expression of the embodiment of peace becomes our default setting. We automatically shine with, we automatically resonate with, we automatically exude peacefulness in such a way as story about Bob Marley illustrates. 2 days after Bob Marley there was an assassination attempt. 2 days after he was shot, Bob Marley walked out on the stage and did what he does. He performed powerfully. And later, when he asked, "Why would you do that? Why you had just been shot 2 days before. Why would you go out and perform?" And he said, "The people who are trying to make this world worse, they are not taking a day off. How can I light up the darkness?" That means he was deeply in tune with his inner peace to such a degree that it radiated from him and gave him the conscious power to show up and show out. Now, I would venture to say that if his health was such that that wasn't practical, then he would have taken the time to truly rest his body, his mind, and his soul. However, having been to Jamaica and been to his home, which is now a museum, and being told the story of his power and presence was such that he was fine or fine enough to go on stage and do what he was there to do, as he said, to light up the darkness. And in our own way, that is our invitation. How are we invited to embody this power, this presence, this peace to such a degree that we are able to show up as it? Not just think it, not just give lip service, but to be it. Dr. Holmes says, you and I know that no matter how confused we are, if we will get by ourselves long enough and think peace, we shall become peaceful. Peace is the divine reality at the heart of God. Now, you heard what I just said about we need to do more than just think it. So, but once again, I understand where he's coming from, but Science of Mind and Spirit 4.0 says we've got to remix this. So stay with me. In life, things are going to happen and you are going to be brokenhearted and feel all manner of angst and pain. And in there, you are going to be confused and you have questions. Well, look, when my life is falling apart, what is it that I'm supposed to do? Put it together. In whatever way you need to do to take care of yourself, be that emotional, be that, as I said before, therapy with a counselor, be that prayer, whatever it is that you need, your invitation is to take the time to mend, to heal, to live. Because in life, there are times when we are going to be brokenhearted, our spirit may be broken, a relationship, a breakup. We may break down and cry and break down emotionally, have a mental breakdown. The stuff happens to many people. And the Japanese art of kintsugi reminds us that from these broken pieces, we are able to rejoin them. We are able to mend them. Using gold, we are able to reconnect. Now, unless you're new, you know that I love a good acronym. So kintsugi becomes an acronym whereby we understand that kindness initiated now towards self uncovers God inevitably. That's how you heal the broken pieces. Kindness that is initiated right now towards yourself is what uncovers God inevitably and always. This is why I say it's not just thinking peace, it is taking the necessary actions, the activity of spirit. Kindness isn't just a thought, kindness is a behavior. Peace also is a behavior. So when Dr. Holmes says, when you become confused, stop and listen to your inner calm. Turn from the confusion to that deeper something within. Say, I am surrounded by peace. I am immersed in peace. There is nothing but peace. Peace, deep, calm, undisturbed. Now, this is going to feel like an affirmation that is useless and pointless if in the midst of the storm, what you are saying is, there's peace and peacefulness, and I'm immersed in peace. And we're not inviting you to bypass or metaphysical malpractice. What we are inviting you to do is, in the midst of the confusion, remind yourself that peace, in some way, shape, or form, it may show up in the calmness that gives you the ability to evacuate without panic. It may be the way that you show up to offer calm to and help someone else to calm down when they are panicked about the storm and the increasing tornado winds or whatever it is. It's not saying that automatically the storm is gone. Automatically the fire is out. Automatically, it's not saying that. It's saying even in the midst of that, it is possible to reclaim your breath and identify what behavior am I invited to engage in that demonstrates and expresses peacefulness. It does not mean that I do not still feel confused or afraid, but it means I'm not letting that control me. So normally when you are confused, when you feel confused, what do you normally, like, what is the thing that you normally tend to do? Confused about whatever. I'm confused about, hold on a second. How exactly, wait a minute, let me go to the website. Let's see, how do I pay my taxes? How do I get a refund? Where do I go to get a parking? I may be confused about how do I find Carnegie Hall? I may be confused about any number of things. But the idea is, when you feel confused, what is it that you tend to do? Because the invitation is, if it is not serving you in a peaceful way, how do you change the tendency so that you are now, even though confused? You know, you're sitting in school. I'm sure we've all been there. You're sitting in school and let me get my textbook. It's a quiz, a state exam. Okay. Number 2 pencil. It's a word problem. Whew. These always confuse me. If Ray is traveling at 70 miles an hour by foot, he's fast. If Ray is traveling at 75 miles per hour by foot going north and trips over a rock and flies through the air at 78.6 miles per hour, and he travels 47 kilometers and falls into a liter of hot chocolate that is 112 degrees Celsius, how many marshmallows will he need to cool it down to 0.5 Fahrenheit, especially if it's a Saturday in October? What in the world? I'm so confused right now. I don't even know where to start. Calgon, take me away. See, it doesn't matter what we're confused about. The invitation is, when you feel it, what do you do about it? How do you reclaim that sense of, you know what? I don't know how many marshmallows, and I refuse to I don't know the answer. There's nothing I can do about not knowing the answer. So either I guess, it's not a multiple choice. It's a fill in. I got to just write it in. I'm gonna just put a question mark because I don't know, and I'm gonna move on to the next thing. Question mark, boop, move on. What is the invitation to reclaim and be at peace in order to express peace? Peace comes from a sense of union with the whole. Confusion comes from a sense of separation. Okay. Now, based on that, let's just in general marinate on the idea that if I were to ask you, can you remove cake from cake? And I'm not talking about taking a slice of cake out. I'm saying take cake out of the cake. Take water out of water. Take sky out of sky. If you can take sky out of sky, is it still sky? If you can take peace out of peace, you can take yin and yang out of, and so the idea is you can't. Because if you could take cake out of cake, cake would no longer be cake. It would cease to exist. Which means, going back, this idea of oneness and wholeness, you cannot be separated, even though you are an individualized expression of oneness. You cannot be an individual, whereas you are separate or somehow existing outside of God, outside of oneness, outside of wholeness. Because for that to happen, wholeness is no longer wholeness, God is no longer God, oneness is no longer oneness. So, when we allow the idea of separation, separate political parties, and we operate based upon this separation in non-life affirming ways, then they become at odds. They are now enemies or opponents. And in being opponents, they are opposed to one another and they show up in opposition to one another, not cooperation. So, in order for us to live, move, and have our beingness as peace itself, we are invited to remind ourselves as often as needed that which God is, I am. That which oneness is incarnating itself as me. That which wholeness is expressing itself in, through, and as me. Always, no matter what I am thinking, no matter what I am feeling, that truth of my being, which is also the truth of your being, is unchanging. And I know that in the midst of the confusion and drama in life, reminding ourselves of that can be challenging. But that's why we practice. You know, if I were in medical school, I don't automatically pick up the stuff and I do these amazing sutures like I've been knitting or sewing all my life. It takes time to be able to hold the and loop the and so that when I am now in the ER and a patient comes in and they need stitches, I've practiced it enough that I'm able to do it effectively now. Even if I am under pressure, I have to hurry up and do this in order to save their life or in order to move to the next thing to help the doctors or the nurses or whomever. I am far more skilled at it because I've practiced it. An unknown author offers us peace. It does not mean to be in a place where there is no noise, no trouble, or no hard work. It means to be in the midst of those things and still Be calm in your heart, in your mind, in your soul. There is an old haiku by Basho that says, an old silent pond. A frog jumps into the pond. Splash. Silence again. What does this remind you of or invite you into regarding your divine peacefulness as a way of life? Reverend Dr. Marilyn Leo invites us, I accept only peace and calm contentment. I accept only peace and calm contentment. For the peace of God is my peace now. Now, I want to explore this idea for a second. The peace of God. What is the peace of God? See, I understand if you say a piece of cake. And oftentimes when we get to that of, there's an idea of separation. And I want us to move beyond that so we are not thinking or feeling peace of as separate, but one and the same. So I invite you to revisit this recording at some point later or look it up yourself and go over the various meanings of love. There are various ways that that tiny little word can be used to represent a variety of things. And I invite you to explore these various meanings in order to understand in a deeper manner what is the peace of God? What does that mean? I am a member of the human race. Does that mean I am separate from the human race? Or I am one with the human race? I am the youngest of 6 sons or 6 children. I am the youngest of this group called my parents' children or siblings or whatever you want to call it. I am one of many, one of few. There are various meanings to this, how this word is used. And I simply want us to not get caught in the jargon of, but to expand beyond it and recognize for linguistic convenience, words and language will never suffice completely to express the divine. No matter how, you may have heard me say it before, no matter how much I attempt to explain the taste of chocolate to someone who has never tasted chocolate, one, my explanation of it is never going to suffice. Two, my explanation of it is never going to give them the taste of chocolate, no matter how I describe it. And even when you do know what chocolate tastes like, my description of it is based upon my taste buds, which are different from your taste buds. So when I describe it, what you're tasting or what you're experiencing is based upon your experience of it, not mine. The words are never going to fully encapsulate or capture God, the divine, or you. So we use them to serve a purpose to communicate, but let us not get stuck and bound in the jargon of words. Every breath we take, we sing a song. Every breath I take, every move I make. Who sang that? Sting. Squirrel. Thich Nhat Hanh says, every breath we take, every step we make can be filled with peace, joy, and serenity. It can be if we choose to embody it that way, if we choose to show up in such a way that we allow, talking about grand rising as a theme, if we allow that grand rising of our power and presence to show up as our embodiment, if we refuse to let the brokenness, the pains of life keep us down, we choose that, yes, these things have happened and I still show up and I still work on my healing of my body, my mind, and my soul, moment by moment. Then, yes, every step, every word, every action is embodying the energy of peace and serenity and more. And this is not an invitation to bypass anything, because this is actually an invitation into deeper practice of all manner of our spiritual practices and mental health practices, etc. Because it's actually an invitation to choose. We want to embody every step, peace and serenity, and then choose therapy, medication if necessary, counseling, rest, whatever it is you need, whatever it is that person needs, whatever it is that person needs. The invitation is to choose it if it gives you the capacity to embody peacefulness and healing, calm, serenity, love. Breathe. When we know what science of mind and spirit is, we practice it and live it as a way of life. We not only understand the illusion of separateness and the truth of oneness, but we also understand how to influence and impact the collective in more life affirming ways as we more consciously align with what it means to be peace. We experience the full spectrum of life, the ups and downs, the highs and lows, and we keep it moving, healing, evolving, transforming to the best of our ability in the moment. This is why it is called a practice. Science of mind and spirit does not offer us a way to practice peace per se, but rather a way to know that peace is the practice and the path. Breathe. This week's affirmation declaration, I will say it first, and if it resonates with you, say it with me the second time around. I easily tune into the peace at the center of my soul. Breathe. Now, before I repeat it, let us be reminded God is a circle, circumference nowhere, center everywhere. Keep that center in mind when we say at the center of my soul, because you don't simply have a soul. All that you are is a divine incarnation, soul, spirit, source. Together, I easily tune into the peace at the center of my soul. So it is. This week's Thursday night study group questions, or your own personal, journal questions. Number one, what does peace mean to me? How do I distinguish and experience inner peace and outer peace? Number two, what spiritual practices assist me in experiencing peace? What other practices that may not be categorized as spiritual practices assist me in experiencing peace? Number three, what practices help me to self regulate emotionally? Number four, when do I tend to experience the absence of peace or the leave it at that? When do I tend to experience the absence of peace? What do these times look like externally? What do they look like internally or feel like? In what areas of my life do I currently experience the absence of peace? It should be, or I experience it to a lesser degree. And lastly, how can my peacefulness, influence and impact world peace? Breathe. And we enter into that space of peacefulness, that space of knowing that that which God is what we are right here, right now. It says whatever is true about God is true about you. The infinite awareness of serenity is incarnating as each one of us. That which is calm is expressing itself as each one of us. That which is the peace of God is living, moving, and having its beingness in, through, and as each one of us right here and right now. And knowing this gives all of us the ability to navigate our lives in conscious and powerful ways. In the same way that someone who has been trained to do CPR, they remain calm even though it's an emergency situation. Someone's life is literally in their hands. And yet, because they are at peace, they are trusting their skill. They know the practice. They know the process. And peace washes over them. And it washes over them to such a degree that even those people who may be around feel at peace. We practice it in how we talk. We practice it in how we decolonize our beliefs. We practice it in how we change and transform and heal emotional wounds or generational trauma. We practice it in how we engage in relationship. We practice it when we are driving and someone cuts us off without using a turn signal. We practice it in how we stand in line and it's a 10 items or less, and there's someone in front of us with 72 items in their cart. We practice it in how we live our lives. We practice it. But we have to be able to identify what is peace in order to practice it. And so in this moment, what we are actually saying is recognizing that peace, the peace of God is God. What we're practicing is the power and the presence of God. Not simply peace, but the power and the presence of the divine. Whether it is through love, through peace, wisdom, creativity, it's all God. So we breathe. We breathe and we allow ourselves to fully embody to such a degree that wherever there are broken pieces in our lives, we bring the gold of the divine to rejoin the pieces of our hearts and our minds and our souls, of relationships that we are working to strengthen, while also understanding that some relationships are meant to be separated. The bridge has been burned. Not every relationship, because we can still understand that they too are God, but not every relationship is meant to be the way that it was, or still connected, or still intimate. Some relationships are best served apart. So it is our discernment and our wisdom that gives us the wisdom to know this broken piece, let it go. This broken piece, I bring gold and I rejoin, for this is life affirming and that is not. And knowing this, the law says yes, the law agrees, the law says amen, the law does what it does and demonstrates accordingly. And knowing that that's what it does, then I do what is mine to do. I trust, am convicted, and am confident in my ability to live peacefully, to speak peacefully, to show up as peace, to be peace. And as the song that is sung in many centers, let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. That song becomes, yes, there is peace on earth and it has begun with me. I choose right now to be that peace. And because of that, there is peace on earth, goodwill to all, and it is a world that works for all. That is the amen that I live. And as I say this, I say it for all of us who are gathered. That is the amen that we live right here and right now. That is what is so. And so it is. Breathe. And so it is. Much love and appreciation, everybody. Do check your chat to see if we are in fact meeting for the Zoom fellowship, as you may have seen at the beginning. If you were here at that time, the dates are to be announced because September is a really packed month. So check your chat. If you do not see anything saying anything, it means we are not meeting. If Tracy or I typed yes, we are meeting in the chat, and you're available, then we will see you over in Zoom. Otherwise, see you during the week or next Sunday. Blessings.